of good evening, everybody. This is the disembodied voice of the Ermine King of Arms, Adiun Tesserand, and I'd like to welcome you to this meeting of the Shroud of the Avatar College of Arms for the 24th of June 2014. We have a bit of business today. We would have more, but our computer holding our business records went. And yes, that is the technical term. So, one bit of business, one bit of very somber business that does need to be tended to, and very early on. This is the last meeting that I will be hosting as the principal of this college. My health has taken a very, very sharp downward spiral in the last 3 months. Without going into too fine a detail, my epilepsy has gotten far worse, to the point that I am no longer able to put into this job what the principal of the College of Arms needs to have put in. As such, I am tendering my resignation as principal of the college, though not as Ermine King of Arms, effective immediately. There is not at present, as of this moment, a principal to the College of Arms. It is up to us as a committee of sovereigns to elect a new one. I would like to nominate Nirante. And Ronan just seconded from the silent statement to the right. Will you accept, Nirante?
Yeah, if that's the decision.
My vote is in favor. Ronan's vote is in favor. And since you would be abstaining, two in favor, none against. Take over.
All right. Okay. So, among the other major things that we need to get out of the way to start out, we are currently down to 3 active sovereigns and 1 missing in action. That's really not enough to run the college as it stands, as the way it's set up. So, since we have an opening, I would like to nominate Grant to take the position. Ronan has attened.
Then I shall poundend.
All right. Welcome, Sovereign Grant.
Well, thank you.
Hail King Grant.
I don't have a speech prepared. Don't know what to say.
None of us did. Don't worry about it. And following in the same sort of vein, that takes us down to currently a single herald. So we need to fix that too. And in that vein, I would like to nominate Trennick and Bajan as heralds.
I will be the one to attend that.
Thank you. That's awesome.
So welcome heralds Bajan and Trennick.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Y'all will have to pick colors, and Grant, you will need to pick a fur.
Oh no, I know. I can still pick a good fur.
Okay, so that takes care of the big stuff at the moment. We needed to figure out a clarification on the color rules. which is specifically we agreed no metal on metal, color on color, or base on base. What about field divisions? Does that count? Does that not count? And then what about ordinaries?
According to the previous rules that we had, you could put them next to each other in divisions.
Right.
That was legal.
So
Yeah, and
field
a field
divisions are okay, but what about ordinaries?
As ordinaries would be considered charges, like basic charges, they should follow the same rules as charges, would be my guess. But Adian and Ronan could clarify that.
That's my thought as well, exactly.
Okay. I thought that's how it was. Just wanted to make sure, so we had it set. So since we are all in agreement, that settles that. Okay.
See, this isn't that hard a job. Except when the cats are getting unruly, and then you have to hurt them.
Nutmeg, no!
No, she's my cat. I get to hurt her.
I think you need a new cat now, Narante. You can't be the principal without a nutmeg.
Unfortunately, I'm allergic. The best I can do is a teeny tiny dog.
Well, might I suggest my famous nutmeg ice cream instead? That way you can say no to the ice cream.
But why would you say no to ice cream?
And why would you put the cat in ice cream? Just asking.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're making ice cream out of my cat?
Okay, so with my notes gone, that's all that I still have left over from last week, and that's basically all I've got.
Well, we can all try and remember what there was that we all wanted to ask.
Huh?
We can all try and remember things and see what we get.
Yeah, do we have... Grant, remind me to get you set up when we get out of here.
Do I get a cape and crown?
No,
I get
just
fitted
more
for my
duties.
royal costume? No.
And I've been missing from chat and basically from reality this week. Good gods. So my mind is as clean as a baby's bottom.
Yes, this afternoon, the winners of the contest, the port graph contest, were announced. So huge congrats to Ashlyn and Duke Gregoire.
Congratulations, everyone. That's wonderful news.
Yes. I don't know. Anybody else have anything on the docket that they know of?
Maybe we should clarify regarding some of the comments on the contest.
Go ahead.
Just that we will take the designs as given and apply the proper rules to them. The heraldic
If you
rules.
take a look, I've already
The
done
big
that.
point.
And they look great. Once you apply the rules, they really look wonderful.
Right.
Whoever wants to take a look, I fixed them up.
Oh, the big point, and that's what I tried to say in the thread, is that the color palette that we use is not part of the rules.
Of the contest rules.
Of the heraldry rules. That's just what will be included in game. Having this color and this color and this color are part of the rules, but not the specific value of the color.
Gotcha.
As long as it's identifiable as azure versus blue celeste, or
Right.
purpura versus Murray, the specific value is not what we're looking at.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Now, I can play devil's advocate to an extent here, because the directions for that contest could have been legitimately interpreted to require use of the color palette that we have, kind of as a guideline.
Right.
That instruction was unclear, but the difference ultimately does not impact the decision that was made at all because of the way that the devices were evaluated. They were evaluated, like Grant said, based on the blazon, on the layout, on the structure of the device, not specifically on the very specific colors that were used.
And I don't believe we disqualified anyone, any submission at all. We gave them feedback, and they came back with improvements. I don't think there was any disqualification based on rule sets.
No, there were no
No,
disqualifications.
We didn't send back anything that was submitted to us.
Right.
And indeed,
Kieran, go ahead.
And indeed, at least one of the ones that we evaluated, that many of us thought quite highly of, the version that we got did not follow the specific color values that we use.
No, that's the problem. You haven't been watching the boards today. There has been a major explosion because the two top entries did not use the specific RGB values.
If I may also play devil's advocate for a moment on this, the winning, although amazing, and I think it should have won, also in the rules it said to be acceptable, charges should be clearly identifiable in a simple flat style with minimal detail, no shading. Hers actually did not fall into that. Just saying. So, I mean, hers should have won. I believe that it was the best one out of them, but at the same time, it didn't fall into those rules, and people could be causing issues and being upset about that.
Wait. So, you're saying because the shield had shading?
It says specifically in the rules that it had to be flat, and the colors on that were not flat.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, is... Wait a minute. It said that in the rules for the contest specifically?
Yes, it did.
Didn't we refer to that as, like, more painted icons on there rather than heraldic charges? Isn't that what we meant by the shading?
You keep mentioning shading. She's not talking about shading as far as I can tell.
Don't use she. This is getting really confusing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Amber, you are not talking about shading here.
It says directly in the rules, as I posted in the side there, to be acceptable, charges should be clearly identifiable in a simple flat style with minimal detail and no shading or 3D effects.
Ah.
The charges are... she took the charges from us. Or he. I don't know if it's a she or a he.
Yes, but there was 3D shading and style applied to them. Like if you look at the hammer and the pick, both, they definitely have a 3D look to them.
I guess maybe the takeaway here is we should be more explicit.
Right.
Well,
and it's hard to say how to be explicit until after the fact. But yeah, I don't think anybody was wrongly inconvenienced, and we'll try to be more detailed next time.
Right.
I think
the thing is, we're very much in the habit of getting devices in a kind of a semi-unfinished state and looking at the layout rather than the specific piece of art, because that's not what we're looking at, that's not what we're registering.
Exactly.
And so the fact that there was a little bit of lighter gold to kind of make them 3D looking didn't even register with us, because that's not what we're looking at.
What was that you were saying, Trennick?
I was just going to say that I think part of the issue that caused this in the first place was that admittedly, our style guidelines, as posted in the forum, they've been sitting there unmodified for quite a while, and I think it could be a big benefit if we're to do something like this again in the future, or even just in general, if we can get those updated. I know it's tricky because the topic is locked and closed, but
I just need to get around to getting someone to unlock it for me. I keep forgetting. I've had a really awful couple of weeks. I keep meaning to.
But point being that we definitely understand where the people with with the complaints, we understand where you're coming from, and we understand the miscommunication that happened there. And
Right.
we will learn from that. It won't happen again, and we'll get better information out there. But we also want to communicate the point that it did not affect who would have won the contest anyway.
Well said.
Absolutely.
If someone shares the versions that are fixed, you can see that they well deserve the win. Because I mean, before you might be looking at all of the incorrect things about it, but when you look at it fixed, it just both of them are well deserved. All right, I'll share it. This is the winner.
Yes, and see, that's literally basically what I saw when I looked at it. I didn't see any of the shading effects.
Yeah, and when you look at it like that, it's well deserved. As is this one. I personally would have a difficulty choosing which one. But yeah.
Now, I personally agree that what was chosen as the winner was exactly what should have been chosen, at least in my thoughts.
And
I
mean,
think it's beautiful.
It might have been a small error on Karen's part that we probably should have posted fixed up versions of them rather than the original ones.
That would have been a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have
that's
been.
what should have happened. Is they should have gotten converted into our palette and flattened.
And then
Structure,
submitted
yeah.
before.
Yeah, to make them uniform.
That
Maybe,
was an error on our part. I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future it might benefit us instead of having one person like Kieran take entries and deliver them to the sovereigns to allow other members of the college to participate. Perhaps it would be better if we're all excluded and we can all help like take in the entries and do that initial processing in the first place.
That seems like a good idea.
Well, one distinction that got lost somewhere along the way is that this was literally Kieran's project. You know, it was his concept. He did all of the arrangements. He handled the whole thing. This was his project, not the college's.
That's
Yeah,
a big
that's true.
kudos to him.
Literally, the sovereigns were invited to judge.
That's all we did.
That's why everyone in the college was allowed to participate, because it was not our project. It was Kieran's.
Right. I mean I understand that now, but I mean
Yeah.
if you read the description of the contest though, it definitely reading the description of the contest seems like it's being run by the College of Arms, you know. And I know that wasn't the case, and I know that was kind of a miscommunication. And even if it wasn't a miscommunication, and it were perfectly clear that it was Kieran's contest, I still think it might be advantageous to everybody, you know, both within the college and
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
just if we do it again, you know, learn from those mistakes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm just saying that that's one reason why it was handled this way, because it was not ours to begin with.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, I'm not trying to like shift blame to Kieran. In fact, quite the opposite. I'm trying to not steal his thunder. This was his project, and none of us wanted to take anything from him because it's his.
Too bad he couldn't make it to the meeting.
Yeah.
Drop it. Hey.
Google
Drop it.
dislikes him, apparently.
He should take his sound card out.
Drop it. Drop it.
Does anybody have anything else?
there was that we wanted to discuss using ordinaries to create what might look like charges. Do you know the example I'm talking about?
I really can't understand you, honestly.
Paz was saying there was an issue with using ordinaries to create charges out of multiple ordinaries.
Not
Ah,
before we talk, I wanna throw field divisions in there too, because that's been part of it, is using field divisions to create what look like charges essentially.
Well, yeah, ordinaries, field divisions, all using the whole shebang to make what might look like charges.
I know
Can you put up an example, Paz?
I know the one that was specifically brought up previously.
I'll create one real quick so we don't use the exact one.
yeah, let's use the example. Because the example in question, I actually went over with Nerante as to why, although it appears to be a valid example, it's actually not. It's a perfectly legitimate structure.
And I think too that if you can make it out of ordinaries and field divisions, it's a legitimate structure because you can blazon it that way.
Yeah.
But part of the problem with doing that, especially with field divisions, is that depending on the surface on which that blazon is emblazoned, it might look different, you know? And it might not line up in the way that actually creates that shape. Like in this particular case it would, but this is something that we need to clear up for future issues that might arise.
Oh,
As long as people understand that a specific blazon emblazoned on something isn't necessarily going to get the exact. If what you're going for requires that the emblazon be exactly the same every time, can I blazon what on the fly? I don't see anything being shown anywhere. Bajan doesn't have a screen share up.
go ahead and
there
check
are-
on enemies.
He does. Or not, no, it's
Not that I-
it's Soda.
I do.
Lirante does.
Oh. Yes, I can. But I can, in fact, blazon that on the fly. Per chevron, Paley of 5,
7.
Argent. You're right. Per chevron, Paley of 7, Azure and Azure. A pale argent, upon which in chief a roundel sanguine, in base a scales sable.
Now, what if you blazon this with the ore being an ordinary, the chevron being on top of the ore, and then the pal having a azure border or fimbriation? Would that be legal?
That doesn't work.
Yeah,
That doesn't work.
But doesn't it work
That
because
doesn't make what we're looking at.
it's more than 50%?
No, it doesn't work because it doesn't make. It doesn't work because it doesn't make what we're looking at here.
Yes, it does, because that's how you fake it in Grant's generator right
No.
now.
Except that no, that's not actually what we're looking at here because there's no chevron. Because there's no chevron. There's.
Yes, there is. That's how you fake it in Grant's generator
How is there
right
a chevron
now.
there?
On the chevron and base.
Yeah, the base is a chevron.
That's not a chevron.
it's not
that's a
on
per
here.
The base is
okay,
a chevron.
I will make it.
It
I will make it.
Visually appears to be a.
Hey,
I was going to say visually it appears to be a per chevron field division.
I understand, but I'm telling you, I recreated it in Grant's generator using a chevron.
Oh, and Trenick, no, the white wouldn't necessarily stop at the chevron because it's a per chevron field division, but the Paul is a charge on the field, so it goes the full length of the field,
Oh, you were seeing it as a field division.
ignoring the field division.
The reason we weren't
Yes,
seeing it
I
as
was seeing it as a Persh.
Okay,
Go ahead, Nerante.
to recreate that in Grant's generator, you have an azure field, period. Then you have 4 ordinaries, 2 small pails, 1 large pail, and a chevron. I recreated it once.
Would you like me to recreate it? Because I remember how I did it.
It's a
Would you like me
pain
to
in the
recreate it in
butt
Grant?
to get it ordered right.
No, I have a good memory. I'll whip it up real quick.
I mean,
Go ahead and
if we,
screen share as you do it, Bajan.
Alright.
But yes, as I was describing it, what I saw a field division of a field of wherein the upper segment of the per chevron field division is paley of 7 azure and ore, and the lower section, the below the field division, is just azure.
You have to. Oh, whoa. And you have to start with the top ordinary.
Hang on, I gotta. Actually, no. I found.
Go ahead and make the division a no division.
I mean, no division. Oh no, none here.
It's none, yeah. And then make that blue. And now add the gold. No, the top one, the argent, the pale. Make that wide. Go ahead and delete that gold one. Yeah, and resize that to fill again. And now make the blue one a blue pale, azure pale. Make that a little bit bigger.
Okay.
That seems to be one behind.
There. And now make another pale. No, don't move them. Don't move them. See, yeah, now you're getting hot water. Don't move them. Make another pail.
Hello.
Make another pail.
Mm-hmm.
Make that gold.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, what?
Nerante got it.
Oh. Uh-huh. Alright.
Yeah, Nerante's actually assembled it.
And if you look, this is a chevron. It's just a really big one.
That is a very, very wide chevron.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Never in a million years would a herald actually draw it like that if it were blazoned in that way.
But if you put a chevron in base, it would actually extend beyond the borders, beyond the edges of the shield.
No, actually, you end up with a very small chevron near the bottom of the shield, but you still see the field color below the chevron.
I see. Okay, so that's the determining factor there.
Just give me a minute.
I just lost the chevron.
I had it recreated exactly. I had it recreated exactly the way it is in Grant. Give me a minute.
Yeah, a chevron in base there would actually be so small. Would be. Sorry, there's screaming children out here.
It's just a really, really big chevron.
Yeah, it's a chevron far too big for its location on the shield. It turns it into a per chevron field division.
So, Nerante, go ahead and...
Isn't that a pile?
A pile?
I mean, isn't there a term for like a solid chevron at the bottom of the shield?
Yeah,
As a
it's a per.
charge? As an
No,
ordinary?
no, it's a per chevron field division at that point.
No.
Oh, you're talking
Oh.
about. Oh yes, you're talking about a pile. Yes, duh.
No, but a pile extends all the way up, not
Right
to the
up.
not to the center.
A pile can extend solely to the center
Or a
if it is a
mount?
pile in
Or
base.
what?
It's a pile in base that would extend only up to the center. The thing is, though, a pile in base is visually indistinguishable from a per chevron field division.
Well, yes, I understand that, but what I'm saying is then it would be valid for this configuration.
Yes, it would become a pile.
Yes.
The problem is that if this were a pile in base, then you run into the conflict of you have a pile in base on top of a field that is its own color, even partially.
Well, the pile is on top
That's
of the other ordinary, which is ore.
Yes, but it's also on top
It's
of.
on a field of its own color.
Yeah, it's not enough on the ore.
Anyway,
Yeah, it
you
would have to
can-
entirely be exclusive.
Well,
it would have
wait.
to be exclusively on ore, or it
Yep.
violates the rule of having. Let me speak, please. Sorry, it has to be at least partially on the back to top. It would have to be entirely on ore. It would end up in conflict, or it would end up violating the rule that says that a charge cannot be even partially on a field of its own color. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Am I making sense to anyone?
Yes.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood. I thought we had a rule that said it could be less than 50% on its own color.
Not
No, it
its
can be
own
less than
color.
50% on its own type of color. It cannot be less than 50% on its own actual color.
Thank you for the clarification.
Like it can be up to 50% on another color
Base.
or another
Right.
base,
Gotcha.
but not the same
But it could not.
color.
That makes sense.
Yeah, such as you can say you had a field Checky or in Sable. You could put an Argent charge on it, but you could not put another ore charge on it.
Right.
That would be valid, weird as it looks.
Yup, that would be. That's wonderful, crazy quilt heraldry.
Didn't
That would
the
be
last time
valid.
didn't the last time we talk about first, didn't we decide that they essentially count as both colors of whatever they are?
If they are 50-50 split like this,
Hold on,
they
important
are
call.
completely neutral. If they are less than 50-50 split like this, if you're talking serpenty, how do you change the color on serpenty?
Go to the settings screen. The settings icon right next to it.
Aha! I see. This would count as Argent because it's less than 50% of blue.
So we average it out to its primary color?
If they're 50-50 splits, like the furs, then it is a true neutral and doesn't count as either one. If it is mostly one color versus another, then it counts as the one that it is more
Okay.
of.
That just looks like bad wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yes, it really does.
Cool, another lesson in heraldry,
Yup.
which we should do more of.
We should.
What should we do more of?
Lessons in heraldry.
Ah, yes.
So, anything else on the agenda?
So I guess
No.
to answer Bajan's question, it's valid as long as we can blazon it correctly. If, like this one, it can't be blazoned the way it's built in the generator, then it's not valid.
Well, it can't be blazoned the way it's built in the generator, but it can be blazoned.
I think it can also be blazoned in Horan's generator, but I don't know how valid that still is.
So as long as a herald can blazon it, it's valid, I guess. That's why we have the submission process, right?
Yup.
What
I-
happens on the off
Sorry, I'm
chance?
kind of zoning out. I'm reading Kieran's post on the contest thread.
It's about, well, repeat what you said, Grant.
Oh, that to answer Bajan's original question on this issue, was that as long as a herald can blazon it, it's valid. And that's why we have the submission process to put things that are hacked together through the test of blazonry.
That is part of the reason we have a submissions process, yes.
And then, Trenik, you had something to add or to say to that?
Yeah. What happens when we get something that we can technically blazon, but Grant's generator can't create it, and maybe potentially never will be able to?
Well, at that point, we run into how much do we... At that point, we run into, like, counterchanging, for example, which is a pain in the arse for the generator. Well, at that point, we basically... That's one of the reasons that we hang around in the game, is that someone wants something that's going to require additional work, they can hire us to do it, but it takes a while.
Well, and the ultimate criteria is going to be if the in-game generator can do it. If the in-game generator can't do it, there's no point in even trying.
Exactly. And it's likely, from what we're hearing, that Grant's generator is going to be, if not the final version of the in-game generator, at least the basis for it.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I'll have to reply to Chris to keep the conversation going.
Yep. So, anything else on the agenda?
I don't think so.
Well, it's not technically my duty to sign us off anymore.
Shush. I'm still hoping that you'll continue to run the broadcast for the most part. You're still a better public speaker.
I will gladly continue to run the broadcasts. And with that said, at the command of our principal, this would be me saying goodnight, everybody. So, good night, everybody.